Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the news of the Mattias Ekholm injury and how that will likely impact the Edmonton Oilers. But before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. Being said, let's get on into it. So yeah, I am back, and I was originally planning to do a video today that's going to get pushed off until tomorrow because of the news that Mattias Ekholm will now miss the first round of the playoffs. This is not necessarily what you'd want to hear if you're an Edmonton fan. Not the absolute worst news you could hear, like McDavid being out for the season or something like that, but it is a big loss, I think, for this team in a postseason round, or I think just postseason run that could pose a lot of challenges for this side and give them a harder go of it than we've seen in recent years. Ekholm is not necessarily going to give you those Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes numbers, but we do know, and we've heard a lot about how pivotal he's been for their success since his arrival there. He's been a mainstay of this team over the past couple of years and has been able to play or average nearly 22 minutes a night in the playoffs in his time with Edmonton. Mind you, they've played a decent amount of playoff games in this time, and not just some playoff games, some really meaningful games. A player that you know is not necessarily going to be a stud on the power play or a guy that this year is having great numbers on the PK, but I think that his influence is going to be greatly felt at 5-on-5, both ends of the ice. He is a guy that defensively gives him a lot for the even strength, and or should say full strength. That is big because you're going to play your most minutes there. You're going to be playing against some high-end talent, and as you progress further and further, theoretically you are going to be playing better and better teams. So that is kind of a concern, knowing that he is out 4 games, if not as many as 7, and then you have to kind of be worried a little bit about, well, is he even going to be ready for the start of round 2? And if he is ready, is he going to be able to come back and be effective while also having to go up against, a really daunting team in the second round in all likelihood? That is going to be a huge challenge. You see the Oilers losing a guy that's got a hard shot, a guy that has got a decent burst of speed, a player that will give you a decent amount of minutes, a guy that will play over 20 minutes a night, a difference in pairings and how you work things. Of course, everybody talks about the Bouchard and Ekholm pairing, and you do kind of wonder how things will be impacted here in such a pivotal time. And I'm going to be honest, Mattias Ekholm, I think, is going to be possibly the tipping factor in this series for the Oilers against Kings. Every year since these teams have met over the past 3 playoff runs, they have kind of had a feeling where you thought you were going to go Edmonton in that series, and that's what I've done all 3 years in a row. And even going into the playoff series this year, I was probably feeling the best I felt about LA in any of these years, but I really do think at this moment, not saying that this is my prediction right away, but I kind of think that this is LA's year to get past Edmonton. Every dog has their day, and when you pair in McDavid injury, Draisaitl injury, the Stuart Skinner injury, as well as a lot of other things, now the fact that a big-name defenseman that is an experienced defenseman for you in the playoffs is going to be out, it's going to be hard. And I think one of the big things we can talk about here is this season especially, you would see with Ekholm a lot of offensive zone time. He ranks in like the 99th percentile, and they just dominate the shots for percentage when he's out there. He has the best shots for percentage at 5-on-5 strength this season out of any Edmonton player that has played at least 500 minutes, and I'm kind of assuming that it would probably go up even more, even if you shorten down the amount of minutes. So thinking about this from the perspective of Edmonton, they probably would have been favored in this series, especially if he'd been healthy. They would, in all likelihood, probably be pretty comfortable setting up in the offensive zone, killing a lot of clock, and then getting their goals. And LA would be in a situation where I don't think they could win that series if they had to kind of play catch-up, where they weren't getting a lot of offensive zone time. Take Bouchard out of that, and I think that's going to be kind of a challenge. Again, this is not going to be somebody that scores 20 goals probably, and he is a guy that his shooting percentage is never really high and all that, but I do think this is going to be a big absence, as we've already seen, in a year where the Oilers don't look as promising as they could be. Again, it's going to be very hard to kind of see how things shake up here, but if you are the Los Angeles Kings, I said this in a video very recently, they would like to see a fully healthy side in Edmonton where they can say we beat the best of what you had to offer, but at the same time, too, I'd imagine that they're not too upset about this news because they don't want to get beat for the 4th straight year. So Edmonton going to have to figure out a lot of things here, and you are kind of hoping that Bouchard can get right if they make it to the second round. I don't know exactly who they'd have to play yet, but you'd probably be thinking a date with the Vegas Golden Knights. Possibly, we won't say it's a guarantee. that would be a tough test for them, absolutely. But I think on the flip side, if they're able to get him back, Vegas might be in a tough spot too. So we'll kind of see how things shake out. Now, in the meantime, you're going to be seeing guys like Bouchard and probably Darnell Nurse that you would say, hey, I know things haven't always been perfect for you, specifically in the regards of Darnell Nurse, but we need guys to step up on this blue line. All in all, I think that this is really just going to come down to Edmonton being likely comfortable that they can try to go out there and outscore Los Angeles in this series, but we'll have to see. Darcy Kuemper put together a pretty good year. The Kings looking very good at home. This series is kind of up for grabs because home ice advantage, I think, is still up for grabs at the moment. So Edmonton, if they can find a way to make sure that they get 4 games in Alberta, could be pivotal here. I don't really know. But again, I'm just kind of harping on the same points. But it feels like that is something where we could say we're harping on a lot of this because this will be the 4th straight year we've seen these teams in the postseason against each other in the first round. Might be the first time in a minute that the Oilers are bested by the Kings. And I can't remember the last time that Edmonton was knocked out in the first round. I don't think it's been crazy long, but clearly the past 3 years they really benefited in that regard, going on at least the second round of the Western Conference Final on 2 occasions. Is Ekholm going to be the difference maker in this? I'd like to hear your thoughts. I'd like to hear kind of how you think things will shake up and what exactly they'll be missing without, I keep wanting to say Bouchard. Ekholm, let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And you love hockey, all right? Hey, one last thing before I go. I did want to add that it is kind of weird to see where Edmonton is right now because a lot of these teams magically have a lot of guys that are dealing with injuries. We're going to see how things shake up as we get a little bit closer to the playoffs, but you think of some of these teams where you're just like, all these guys are out of the lineup listed as day-to-day and whatnot. I don't know exactly how this lineup will look, but I think we have a pretty good feeling about where it will look in the coming days. And I think they're going to be hoping to go into this kind of swinging at the fences and in all likelihood try to get out to that early series lead. Because if LA is at home and gets a 2-0 series lead, we can probably say how this one's going to go. I don't know though. Again, that's just kind of my 2 thoughts to close it out for real this time. Hey, it's me again. I'm actually going to be walking back on that statement. I still would actually think that the Oilers were capable of coming back down from 2-0 against the Kings, even without Ekholm. But, of course, this year it seems like maybe, just maybe, that's a little bit less likely. So, again, are things different? The more they change, the more they stay the same? I don't know. We'll see. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.